Good morning, everybody. Happy Saturday. It is Saturday. It has been another one of those weird weeks. Yeah, I thought I was supposed to go into the office on yesterday because they made us work in the office or work from home on Monday and that whole 3 day a week in office. But things changed and I got to work from home yesterday, so that was a little bit better. It's a gorgeous day out here. I'm always going to say it's gorgeous. It's about 60 degrees and foggy today. Why? I don't trust that says 60 because I thought that my thing said it was like more than 60 earlier. I don't know. 63 is now what my computer says. So, yeah, but foggy, which means fog, 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 fog. uh, it was a little confusing when my smart speaker said that it was going to be foggy today because that's not normally a what is that term that I hear related to the weather. Usually I hear it's sunny or partly cloudy, but today foggy. I will take it. It's going to be a nice day, and yeah, we'll see what we can get done. Good morning, Charlotte, who has made it this morning. I'm still a little groggy because I got up way too early this morning. And tonight is fallback for those of us in North America, except for Arizona, except for those parts of Arizona who does do daylight savings time, except for those parts inside of that don't. I've seen the map; it looks confusing. I don't know like how many people are in the pieces that don't or that are inside the do. It's weird. I think it's something to do with reservation and not. Good morning, Kathy, who says good morning, Russ. Good morning, everyone. Today, I was trying to figure out what I was going to work on, and what I really want to work on, I cannot work on uh, during the live because it's a surprise for a friend who um, doesn't want to know what it's going to look like, and I'm not going to make him um, not watch videos if he doesn't want to. So I am working on something different. I am working on May. It's a May gnome, and I have the girl gnome. Huh? I have the boy gnome this month. Okay, which is this gnome right here is what I am working on. I have no idea why I thought it was the girl gnome first minute, but like I said, I'm not awake. The boy gnome at least has a couple fewer triangles, and I should see that from the pattern that I'm looking at. I do have a couple of the rows already done up this morning, just because I've started first thing. And once I can get a few of these rows, that's how they're going to go. I'm just looking at them for me. As soon as I get a few of these rows put together, then I will hopefully at least get the top half of the gnome done, and we will see how far we can get in this roughly hour that's going on. Hi to anybody who is sneaking over here from Steven Sode. My friend Steven of Bland Designs and the Idiot Quilter, he is hosting a pop-up Sode. So anybody who wants to sew with people in person, and when I say in person, it's on Zoom. It's not broadcast anywhere. You can go get the details to his Zoom over on his channel. He probably will come in at some point and share the Zoom details in the chat. It's always a lot of fun, lots of enabling, and all that other fun. Good morning, Jeannie E. and Robert Cox. Okay, Robert, I have to say, every time that I have seen your name, I'm like, why does that name sound familiar? Until I remember that, the manager of the Atlanta Braves for the longest time was Bobby Cox. And I've actually seen him a few times in person because he went to the same vet, or he probably still does go to the same vet that I go to. But the vet that we had in common unfortunately passed away a couple years ago. So I don't know if he's seeing, the same office, but somebody else in there. But I was like, why does that name sound familiar? Uh, Good morning, Janice. And Robert says, the little gnome is just so darling. So let's see how much further I can get. Let's see, get to my other camera setup. So these are the 3 rows that I have done so far, which are the top 3. It's a May gnome, so it's a graduation gnome. So this is the cap and tassel for the cap. So let's see how much more I can get, and then see if I can get a few rows put together. The next row is row 4, which takes 1, 2, 3, 4 of these. A yellow. That's a. It was seriously for the longest time. I was like, that name sounds familiar for some reason. And then I need a FA triangle. This one, and because it is going to go that way, I want to press this way. So what I have learned with the half square triangles, because this is a Cotton Cuts kit, if I press the half square triangle in the same direction that it's going to be, that the seam is going to be pressed, it lays a little bit better. And once I can get things started, I was also having a few issues with my machine. I think I have to make a pause and get in here and give it another deep clean, because when I was doing my half square triangles, it was trying to get caught down in the needle plate. I also know that I should get a single hole needle plate for when I'm doing these things, instead of the wider hole that a needle plate has. I'm fairly certain my machine came with one. I just haven't had a chance to hunt down where all of my accessories are. And because I haven't had a chance to find all my accessories, I think I'm just going to break down and spend a couple dollars and order a single hole needle plate, because I need a single hole needle plate for my travel machine, which is going with me to Stephanie's retreat later this year. And yeah, I need that by the end of the year. And if I have that by the end of the year, I might as well just buy both of them at the same time, because I don't know where the other one is. That's not very frugal, but it'll help save me from pulling my hairs out, because, everybody keeps asking me, are you growing your hair out? I'm like, it's kind of growing out. I need to start joking that I'm trying to get it the same length as my ear hairs. I swear, I don't know what happens when you hit a certain age, but the way that my ear hairs grow and my eyebrow hairs, it's hysterical. And I know you're in a quilting and sewing channel, and we're talking about ear hairs. I have no idea what's wrong with me either. Okay, so that was row 4. Now row 5, which is the start of the nose. And because I know that I'm using all four of these, and I know with the nose, they all get pressed in opposite directions. I'm just going to press all four of these real quick. And ladies, do you have the same ear hair problem that men do? Or are you just good enough that you know to trim them all the time? I did finally buy a trimmer because I had just randomly been plucking them, but plucking doesn't seem to work well. Okay, this row is going that way, so these are going that way, and I need 2 blacks. Robert says, I don't know if he's growing his hair. And then since that way, this is not pressed the correct direction. It needs to go this way. Okay. And one more black. These gnomes are so much fun, but I am learning I like the cotton better than the batiks, just because it seems to sew better through my machine a little bit better, the cotton does. And it's really the triangle pieces that I have the more difficult sewing with when I'm sewing the half square triangles together. That little pseudo point just likes to get caught down into my needle plate. Robert has enough to pull the top into a ponytail. I am almost to that point. I was at the chiropractor's office about a month and a half ago, and this random guy comes in with his wife, and he is next to fawning over my hair, like how good my hair is. And he's like, "You're gonna miss it if you lose it." And da, da, da. I was like, I don't know if I have any chance of losing it because everyone in my family seems to have a full head of hair. And I seem to have my grandmother's hair, which is super, super thick. So I keep feeling like there's very little chance of me going bald. And thank goodness, because I do not have the scalp to support going bald. I have cut it super short a couple times. Mostly when it was like, okay, I'm tired of trying to deal with this. I don't want to deal with this anymore. And basically asked my aunt. It was right before the summer, or it was the summer between senior year of high school and freshman year of college. I was like, just shave it, or next to shave it off. She did a very short clipper, and I was like, I want it short. Did not realize that I was getting ID pictures taken, and it was really, really short, and like to the point of being amusing. Okay, let's see. I want you to go this way. And it's pointing way. And then this one is this way, and I want to go that way. Okay. Charlotte says she's working on putting her Cotton Cuts Tree of Life top together. Ooh. I haven't worked on my Cotton Cuts Tree of Life since like month 2. Uh, it's it's tough when you have so many projects and you want to get everything done and you just run out of time. So I'm working on getting things put in my calendar to try to get that finished up. And I'm working on 2 of them. One for a coworker, or I'm sorry, she's now a former coworker. She left the company on her own accord. And there's one for me. Mine is obviously a little bit lower of a priority than hers. But I want to see if I can try to get hers done. If it doesn't get done at Christmas, it will get done at Stephanie's retreat. Because I have learned last year I can get an entire Cotton Cuts, like all of the 9 clues, the first 9 clues done in a single day. And it's about a day for me to put all the clues together for clue 10. So I know it's feasible to do there, but I would also like to get it to my coworker before Christmas, if at all possible. But I have a feeling that I'm going to have to tell her, you're going to get it in like February. Just because I had so many other stuff that I needed to get done. What is everybody else working on? Because that's always the fun thing, finding out what everyone's working on. I know that after the live, I'm going to go pop over onto Steven's Soda, and I'm going to try to get the rest of the t-shirt quilt completed. I have, I think, 3 or 4 shirts I have to finish cutting out because they're like the logo tees up on this side. And if I can get those done, then I will have everything ready. And I've already started putting the rows and sashing together. Those extra pieces that I still have to cut out are going to go in the middle row. So I figure I can get the top row done and I can get the bottom row done, or the top 2 rows. Top 3 rows? The top however many rows done, and I can get the bottom however many rows done, and then get the middle row done. This way. I'm going to put the two nose rows together. Robert says he never had clippered hair, wore hippie hair until 12. Oh, if I only had easy ways to share some of my younger pictures. Because, I mean, as you know, it was a style and stuff, so it's not like you're saying anything bad. But I had some interesting 80s hairs in some of my older pictures. And then, you know, the socks that we wore back then, and okay, I'm going to put rows 1 and 2 together. Why am I missing a row? Oh, that's why I'm missing a row, because it's right here. The previous guy to be the one who cut my hair, he was a scissors only kind of guy. He didn't do clippers around, and it wasn't a bad cut, but I do like the cuts that I get from my current guy. These blacks are pretty darn black and are very difficult to see the seams and everything, so that's why I'm being a little bit more slow and cautious. But I do figure hair is just hair, it'll grow back. That is row 3. This is row 4, which goes. I didn't press this one. Press this way. Thursday was Halloween, and we had quite a few people come through our section of the neighborhood. I think I ended up getting right around like 61 or 62 trick-or-treaters. And at the end of the evening, I had when I got to the point where there was like 7 trick-or-treaters who just bypassed my house because they didn't want to climb up my hill. That's when I was like, it's time for me to pack up. I needed to get Riley fed and everything so that she can go to daycare. Because if she doesn't eat the night before daycare, she's not herself. It's basically a Snickers commercial. The few times that she's tried to get in trouble at daycare, I've learned it's because she didn't properly eat the night before. And I'm like, I'm not going to deal with you being a jerk face because you don't want to eat. So I give her wet food, or I give her some wet food on Thursday nights. So wrapping up a little early wasn't too bad. But the fact that kids are not wanting to climb my hill, and I have good candy to give. I have Reese's, I have Three Musketeers, and I have other stuff in the little goodie bag. Like, they get a goodie bag. They don't get to have just one piece of candy. They get like 4 pieces of candy. Because I'm like, you guys, I'm giving you good candy so that you can trade if you don't like some stuff. And yeah, it's just always depressing when they're like, I don't want to climb the hill. And then I had one poor kid. She was in her little princess outfit. And she's got a scooter. And she's trying to climb my hill in her scooter. And is failing miserably because of gravity. So she finally gets out of it and ends up pushing the scooter up. We also had a whole chocolate factory come through the neighborhood. There is this group of folks. I found out that they theme every year. Like, I guess a few people of them decide the theme, and then others end up crashing the theme, they said. Last year they were Middle Earth, Lord of the Rings. And this year they were Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. So one of them was Violet Beauregard after she had eaten the gum and turned into a blueberry. Violet, you're turning violet. We had Veruca Salt come up as as one of the kids. Like, it was a cross between adults and kids on who was what. We had a couple Oompa Loompas in there. I was like, that is pretty magical. And then let me put the nose on, and this will be the top half of the gnome. Janice is trying to get Christmas gifts completed, almost finished with Florence Flamingo, then on to dogs and sweaters. Those sound like some awesome Christmas gifts. They also sound like pretty detailed Christmas gifts. These are scheduled to be Christmas gifts, but I got to make sure that I get all of them completed so that they can be. And quilted. And bound. Quilting's not going to be too bad because I can just load one giant backing and place all of these onto the backing just somewhere. And just do the same pantograph on all of them. That's my plan for the quilting. Don't know which pantograph. That's the problem that I keep having is a quilt is ready to be quilted. I get into pantograph analysis paralysis. Okay, I haven't quite figured out which directions I'm going to be pressing each one of these rows, but here's the top half of him. And looking at the back, you can pretty much tell which direction each row wants to be pressed. So that's probably what I'm going to end up doing. Some want to go up, some want to go down. Some want to do both, and we'll have to figure out how it goes. but I don't necessarily need to finish pressing this right now. I can work on the bottom half, which is 7 through 11. Row 7 is 4 of these. So he's got a gray beard for this gnome. And I'm also looking at 8, which is fairly similar, so I can do this. 8 has a black on both ends, whereas 7 has a triangle on both ends. I've done enough of these gnomes that it takes about 2 hours to complete a gnome. And I'm kind of on track with that right now, so it's good to know that my timing is still pretty good. When I decide how I'm putting these rows together, a lot of the times I try to go row by row just because it's easier. It's kind of how the pattern is laid out. But when I see that I can do 2 rows together like this, I definitely will. The top is usually a little bit more complex than the bottom of these gnomes. So I usually do the top row by row, and the bottom I'll do in pairs. Okay, the first one is this. It's attached to this. Robert is thinking Christmas Scotties. Those sound pretty cute too. And now I have these 2 rows together. The next one I can do in a pair as well. Actually, I may be able to do the last three together. We got these last triangles. It is hard to believe that we are already in November. I am always confused this time of year because I'm like, where did the year go? And then a black on each side for the first row. So that is row 9, row 10. Going that way, so I want these to go that way, and they're nesting. Then a pair of black is on each side. And then the bottom row is 4 black pieces. And these last 2 triangles. Hello, Em. How you doing? Em, I'm surprised you're not in Steven's pop-up so day that he has going on right now. I will be over there in it as soon as this live is over. And this one goes this way and this way. Now let's see if I can keep these going without getting mixed up. And to hopefully keep me messed up less, I'm going to do a slightly different method for these 3 rows. M's participating in both. Steven gets a little jealous when you do it, so don't tell him that you're in here. He really doesn't get jealous. So what I am doing for this last row, which is a little bit different, is I'm putting each piece on individually. So it's a pseudo chain, pseudo round robin. So this next one goes to row 10, or the third one in my list. If I had the room to line everything up together, this is probably how I would do the entire quilt. It's just lining each row to row to row to row. but I would probably do it in like all of the first two columns I'd sew together. All of the third and fourth columns I'd sew together. Then all of the fifth and sixth columns I'd sew together. And then sew all the columns together. Multitasking, exactly. Doing it this way, though, as you see, I'm trying not to be confused. But I always know which row I'm on based on how many are left in each row. So the hard part is just making sure that I'm keeping what's supposed to be the right-hand side on each row. I may actually have this gnome done by noon Eastern. And speaking of clocks, don't forget to change your clocks tonight if you are in it's at least US and Canada. I do not know which other places do it this weekend, but I do know US and Canada does, so we get an extra hour of sleep. Not that, stomach clocks acknowledge that daylight savings time has happened or ended. So, Riley and Percy are going to be like, dude, it's time for dinner or breakfast, even though, not quite time yet. Riley's only going to start getting one evening walk because it gets to be too dark too early. So she's going to be a little upset about that. And she's going to have to start wearing her vest more often. She has one of those reflective safety vests we wear if it's going to risk being dark. Now they're reminiscing about the Beatles, which you know nothing about. I know very little about the Beatles because they are also before my time. I know that their music exists, and I know apparently it was really good. But the Monkees had a TV show. So they were the ones that I knew about. Okay. So these are the last few rows. Looks totally like a beard. Make sure these triangles are going the right direction. Yes. So row 7 gets pressed this way. Row 8 gets pressed this way. Row 9 gets pressed this way. Row 10 goes this way. Maybe when I join the Sode, I should ask, did I miss the Beatles? Okay. So these two go together. Also this week, I saw the coolest short. It is another creator. His name is Mr. Larry. I met him at QuiltCon. He has a short about wizard robes he has made. I think he made them a couple years ago. They look incredible, and I'm like, I need to learn how to make, like, sew this stuff so I can make them. Because I want to make. I've been thinking for the past 4 or 5 years that it would be nice to have a really nice costume that I can just start wearing for the rest of my Halloweens. Because normally I buy a t-shirt that is Halloween themed. Sometimes it actually is almost like a costume. Like last year I was Charlie Brown because I had found a Charlie Brown t-shirt. And I had shorts that I could wear with it. So I was saying, I was just like Charlie Brown. I had a puppy dog, so that worked. One year, I had a T-shirt that had it had screen printing of a few buttons and like a screen that's turned off. So it made me look like I was a Game Boy. And everybody wanted to press my buttons that year. But I had been thinking, if I can get a really nice wizard costume, that would be nice for, the rest of my Halloweens. And it would also be fun because we like to get into, we'll get into the road and yell at people for speeding. So I'm like, if I can get like a cool wizard costume with a nice staff and everything, I'd be like, you shall not pass! Just to have some fun with, And this goes to this. And I wouldn't want, if I'm going to have a forever costume, I want it to be one that either I make or I get custom made to fit me properly. because most costumes being a one size fits most ends up really being a one size fits few in me. Because, as my coworkers like to remind me, I am larger than the average human. Or rather, larger than the average adult human. The costumes have always been kind of difficult for me to find, so that's why I do the t-shirt method, because I know my t-shirts fit me. And yes, I will have a picture of my Halloween costume in my vlog this week, so everybody can see it. I did not take pictures of the kids that did trick-or-treats because privacy issues. I did get a distance picture of the chocolate factory because there's no way that you can identify who anybody is in the distance. It's also, mostly dark. So I'm okay with those, but I am not okay taking pictures of any up close trick-or-treaters that are under the age of able to say, hey, it's okay to take my picture. We didn't have any really super awesome costumes, though, except for, as we said, the chocolate factory crew. There was one little kid in a witch's costume, and her dad picked her up to get her up and down the hill very quickly. And I just started saying, oh, so now you're defying gravity. And nobody in all of Oz, no wizard that there is or was, lost on them. And I'm like, the movie's about to come out. We did have a pair of friendly neighborhood Spider-Men. But, oh. And we did have, and I'm perfectly fine with this, a couple people who were teenagers and without costume, and I'm fine with that. I don't care if you're in costume, out of costume, if you are, 1 or 100. If you come to my house and are trick-or-treating, you get candy, because you could be doing so much worse. I don't care if you are in costume or out of costume. I prefer that you say trick-or-treat, especially, if you're a teenager. But the rules are very loosey-goosey at my house, and it's basically free candy because the kids could be doing so much worse. M said he learned today they sing live in the movie. That video, yeah, that video came out. Was it yesterday or the day before? It was recently, because it was this week that I learned it. I don't know how I feel about that. Like, I'm excited because that means, we're getting the real them. But they sang live in the Les Miserables movie. And the way that everything had to be turned up with some of the quiet songs, it did not record well. Like, I have the album, but it's probably my least favorite Les Mis album that I have. So I'm hoping the fact that most of Wicked is like loud and belting and good notes, that we are going to be getting some really good songs out of it. I have pre-ordered the CD for it, so I'm going to be getting um, I'm going to be getting it when it gets released, which I think it gets released right around the movie. Robert says he was mad and throwing a fit because they didn't get the store bought costume and wanted him to wear rodeo clown stuff. Oh, I missed something back there. Okay, so he started with he always wore the, themed mask with the outfit combo. When he got too big for that, wore rodeo clown every year. Now he just wears all black. Oh. So the gnome is done. I just got to get it pressed. I think this one is pretty fun. He's graduating. He's going to be, getting out finally into the world. The wonderful world of David the Gnome. That's all I think about when I make these gnomes. I think I have 3 gnomes left to make. I've got to get the pile together. Because June I know is one of them, and I don't think I've done December. And I feel like there's one more, and I just can't. I don't remember the order that I did them in, so I do not remember which one it is. So I got like 2 or 3 more left to do, which is nice because that means I'm almost done. But it's going to be time for me to shift over into t-shirt quilt mode because I'm ready to get worked on those. I'm kind of excited. So I'm heading over to Steven's Zoom, and they may or may not be done talking about the Beatles now. But that's where I am going to be for the rest of the afternoon. So if you want to come join me there, hop over to Steven's channel. It's a link under any of his videos, direct to his pop-up so day today. So hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Toodles!